What is going on, you guys? Thank you all for being here, whether you're watching later on or watching live right now. Appreciate you all being here. My name is Suns Geek, and if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Yeah, the Suns said that Matt Ishbia, our owner, and our general manager, James Jones, would be doing end of the season interviews today on Wednesday, May 1st. And I know I'm late to the party because they did this like a few hours ago. I'm sorry, you guys. I have a life. I have another job outside of this YouTube stuff. I was busy. I apologize. So what we're going to be doing here, you guys, is I'm going to just go to the Phoenix Suns YouTube channel and react to the interviews in live time, sort of, and just give my thoughts. And before we start this, just know, for any of you guys who care, that this is like a legit reaction. The only thing that I have seen from these interviews are just what Twitter was saying, and I didn't even really look much through Twitter. I retweeted a couple of things, but I'm going to be reacting as if I am watching this for the first time, because I am. So I hope you guys will watch this with me, react with me. And again, if you guys are watching this afterwards, leave your comments and thoughts down below. I want to know what you guys thought or think of Matt Ishbia and James Jones's comments that I'm about to react to. So it's going to be a lot of fun, you guys. I just realized I left my water over there, which that really sucks because I would have to get up and get it. But anyways, whatever. Maybe I'll grab it while they're talking. But yeah, I'm excited, y'all. And also, we're going to be reacting to a few tweets that I've seen. And before we really get into these interviews, I just want to remind all Phoenix Suns fans, and if I remember correctly, I think Matt Ishbia said it during these interviews from what I saw on Twitter. I just want to start off this live show by saying Devin Booker is not getting traded. Don't believe the national media. Don't believe all these clickbait, YouTubers and podcasters and all that. Devin Booker is not getting traded. Look, I'll even put up the banner if you don't believe me. See, Devin Booker's not getting traded. Okay, let's finally react to what you guys all came here for, and that is Matt Ishbia and General Manager James Jones's press conferences. And we'll start with Matt Ishbia's. His is the longest, and I think he did speak first. And it looks like he takes about 10 seconds to get onto the stage. So while he's walking onto the stage, I will grab my water and then we'll react to this. So let me just full screen that. You guys know the drill here. One man show on this channel. Okay, share that. Okay, we're looking good. Now let's see if this looks okay. Yeah, we can probably do that for right now. Okay, guys, so give me a second. I apologize. I'm going to go grab my water real quick and then we will get started. I'll just let this play for 1 second. Okay, guys, we're off to a great start because I just had some mute issues there. Okay, so I'm going to mute myself while he's talking, but I will unmute myself, react to this and all that. So let's just start it from right here.
You guys ready? You good? Okay. All right. Well, first off, thanks for being here. Appreciate you guys being here today with us. Couple quick things. First, appreciate you guys being here. Here to talk about a lot of things tied to the season. Before I get into that stuff, overall, looking back 15 months in, it's been we set out some goals of originally be the best franchises, NBA and WNBA, across the board. And when I talked about when I bought the team, I said, hey, listen, we want to affect the culture, new headquarters, do the thing. We want to affect fan experience, make it great. We want to do the community. We got the TV, the games on TV. We want to affect the community with the All-Star games, done those things. But the fourth one is winning. We want to win. We want to win an NBA championship. And I love that people are frustrated that we didn't win an NBA championship. Because guess what? So are we. We're disappointed. We want to win an NBA championship. You know, it's one thing to win 49 games and everyone get knocked out in the first round of playoffs and everyone high-fiving you. That's not what we're going to have in Phoenix. And it makes me happy. So I'm actually happy where we're at from that perspective, that people are disappointed, because guess what? There's not someone in the organization that's more disappointed than me, my GM, my CEO, my players, my coach. Everyone's disappointed, just like the fans. And guess what?
Okay, real quick, you guys. I just have to interrupt. First off, creepy crawly. No, this is not live. This was already recorded and stuff. I'm late to the party if you missed the introduction to this live show. But real quick, first off, love or hate Matt Ishbia, just remember this, Suns fans, in terms of culture and Phoenix Suns and Mercury's and Footprint Center employees and the way that he's changed things for like that has been massive. He gets an A++, 110%. He's done an incredible job there. Secondly, I know we're all disappointed, obviously, but at least our owner, unlike Robert Sarver, is relating to us and knows how we feel. So I just want to start off with saying that. Okay, let's keep listening to what Matt Ishbia has to say.
I'm going to own the team for 50 years, and probably 45, 46, 47 of those years, we'll probably have the same conversation like, hey, we didn't win the championship, and we're going to be disappointed then too. And that's how it's going to be. And I love it, right? There's a lot of NBA teams and other teams that didn't get to the playoffs or didn't win the NBA championship. That the media is not upset. The fans aren't upset. They're just like, hey, all right, we got draft picks. We got this going in the future. Things are cool. All right, we're looking forward to it. You know, but I think some of the narratives around our team and our organization maybe are incorrect. And my perspective is this: we're in a great position. Not a good position, a great position. We didn't win an NBA championship, so we're going to figure out what do we got to change, what do we got to tweak, what do we got to improve to be better to win a championship next year. And guess what? We might not win one next year, but we're going to sure as hell try every single year. So get ready for that. And if people don't like that the owner and the GM and the CEO and the coach and the players are trying to win a championship every year, you're not going to like the Phoenix Suns or the Phoenix Mercury, which preseason's going on right now. We're excited about that too. Like, you're not going to like it. That's what we're going to try to do every single year. We're going to try to compete at the highest level. And guess what? When you set high expectations, you don't always hit them. Now, with that being said, as the owner, there's accountability, right? There's accountability.
Whoa, Matt Ishbia. You said there's accountability. I want to hear this part, Matt Ishbia. Let's hear this part about accountability.
For everybody. I can take the accountability. We're going to celebrate when we win the championship, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. And when we don't win it, you guys can say, hey, Matt, you didn't do this right, or hey, James, you didn't do this right, or Frank, or the players. Like, we get it. That's your job, and we understand that part of the game. But, you know, it's our job to make sure we set the record straight and make sure you guys all know where we stand and how we think about it. And we are very disappointed that we didn't win a championship. And we'll say that again next year or the year after when we don't. And that's how we're always going to be here.
Wait a minute. Wait. So you're saying we're not going to win the championship? No, I'm just kidding. I get what he's saying. He's saying that he's going to be the owner for the next 40, 50 years. And there will be a few years, you know, where we don't win. But I hope by the time it's the 40th, 50th year, at least in the next decade, we at least win one or two championships. I get what he's saying, though. I'm just trolling him. Let's listen.
Phoenix. And so hopefully you enjoy that and are proud of that, because I think in the last 15 years, I think the Phoenix Suns won 49 games. This is the third time, right? So like in 15 years, so putting perspective in place, but you know, it feels like we won 12 games the way people are acting, which is fine, because the reality is we're trying to win a championship. And I set those expectations. We want to be the best franchise in all of sports, not the NBA or WNBA only, all of sports. And that's my job as the CEO or owner, and both with the CEO, with the GM, with the president of basketball, and like everyone here and everyone all the way through the 400 team members here at our company. We want that same thing and we care about it. So
real quick, you guys, first off, that's not the first time that Matt Ishbia has said, I want the Phoenix Suns and Mercury to be the best, you know, organization, team in all of sports. I love that. Now, he said that a long time ago, and I still love it. And I love it even now, even though many of us are disappointed with how the season went. I love that he said that. But, you know, it takes a lot to get there, Matt Ishbia. And look, from somebody who's been supporting this team, watching this team, making videos and live shows about this team during the dark days, as I call them, winning 49 games is great. But you're supposed to be a championship contender. You know, winning 49 games should be like the standard, not like the final. You know what I mean? And Bradley Beal had a quote about that I might get to a little bit later, but let's keep listening here.
That's kind of how I think about it. I'm happy to take questions about anything. You know, we're an open book. You guys will figure that out. I talk on media day and I'll talk after the season. I'm accountable, good and bad. And once again, when we're doing great, give the credit to other people. When I blame me, I'm perfectly fine with it. But I feel like the narrative around the house is burning, it's incorrect. The Phoenix Suns are doing great. Excellent. Not as good as we want to be and not as good as we're going to do next year. And that's what we're going to figure out. What do we got to tweak, modify, adjust to win a championship next year? And when we don't win it, or we do win it, even when we win it, by the way. So when we win a championship, we'll have the same thing. And I'll say,
well, I want to hear, Matt.
We won it, but we got to get better here and here because everyone else is coming for us. That's how we're going to do it in Phoenix. So get ready. And like I said, if fans like to look in the future and say, hey, I really like that 2031 draft pick because maybe that seventh grader is going to be really good and we're going to draft him. And one day he's going to be a player.
Oh, that's great.
You ain't going to like the Phoenix Suns because we're going to say draft picks are to get great players. And we, by the way, narrative out there. And I know, Gerald, you got it right when I read what you wrote today. 5 of the next 8 years, we have a first-round draft pick. I know that's not like a cool thing to say out there because people like to.
That's pretty cool. Matt Ishbia read Gerald's piece on PHNX. That's pretty cool. And by the way, I don't know if this is the article he's referring to. I did read one of Gerald's pieces about our future draft picks, and it was a really good article about the cliche narratives around this team. I could probably do a whole live show on Gerald's article alone. And I do kind of agree with Matt Ishbia to an extent here. And let's just remember this, you guys. Our owner just said, you know, the house is not burning. You know, obviously we're all disappointed. Obviously we're all heartbroken, but Robert Sarver would never say these things. In fact, I don't remember Robert Sarver ever doing one of these end of this season interviews. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember him doing it. So let's keep listening, y'all.
You know, say their narratives. We have no draft picks, but we have 5 of the next 8 years, and we can trade 2 of them next month if we want, right? So it's not like people say we have inflexibly. What would be house on fire? We didn't have any players signed. We have our starting 5 signed for multiple years together. Do we have to make some adjustments because that starting 5 didn't win a championship? Of course we did. Of course we do. And we will. And you'll see it. And we're going to try to get some more other free agents signed and kind of build this back and then figure out how do we tweak, modify to win an NBA championship. So I'll pause now and answer some questions. Anything you guys want to ask, I'm happy to do it. And then James is going to come up after and he'll probably give you the real details, but I'll give you my perspective.
Hey, Matt, obviously when a team falls short of title expectations, you mentioned the accountability part. The coach is the first name that comes into question. Just wanted to get your thoughts on Frank Vogel's performance and his job security moving forward.
Yeah, so I'm not going to get into each coach. Here's how I think about it. Coach, GM, players. I'm not going to specifically get into each of them right now. Here's how I'll say it is. I just flew back from Michigan. I went to Michigan and I was hoping to come back for game 6, just like all of you guys were hoping, which would have been tomorrow night. But I'm not. I'm here to talk to you guys and I have no problem going through it. I have not had one discussion. I know there's media reports and stuff it's just not true. Not one discussion about.
Okay. So he's already denying, Shams's report and everybody else's report about Frank Vogel's future. Let's keep listening here.
My GM, my coach, we're trading players now, supposedly in the media. Not one discussion's even been had, let alone a decision being made. So there's been nothing at this point on any of those things, on any of those people. And I'm not going to get into each personnel and each question, each player, because it's or coach or GM, but honestly, not even a discussion. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to have those conversations. I'm meeting with players. I'm meeting with the coach. I'm meeting with the GM. I'm meeting with the CEO. I'm meeting with all those.
Okay. You guys mind if I go back 10 seconds? Because from what I think he just said is that this week, May 1st to probably Friday, May 5th or 4th or whatever. I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. Till the end of the week, it looks like he's going to be talking with his players, coaches, GMs. And from what I'm gathering, it looks like he's going to move forward from there. Let's keep listening.
Yeah, but honestly, not even a discussion. And that's what I'm here
for.
Not
even a discussion.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to have those conversations. I'm meeting with players. I'm meeting with players. Coach, I'm meeting with the GM. I'm meeting with the CEO. I'm meeting with all those people this week. That's what I'm here for.
Okay. That makes sense.
Dwayne Rankin, Arizona Republic. Coach, I'm sorry, Matt, we asked Coach about building off of year one for year two, and he said he had your full support. So to follow that up, so will he be back coaching next year when you put that into consideration?
Yeah, same answer. Once again, not one discussion about my GM, my coach, like players. Are we re-signing? Are we trying to get what free agents? Like, just haven't had the conversation, honestly. I think Frank Vogel did a lot of great things. I think James Jones does a lot of great things. I think Josh Bartelstein does. I think our players do. I think I've done some great things, but we're going to evaluate everything, because here's what I think about from a coach perspective, assistant coaches. I know we lost our assistant coach who's going to get a job at BYU, knew great things there. Like, the way I look at it is everyone is accountable. I'm accountable to you guys. The players are accountable to the coach. The coach.
Now, only if the players would have held accountability themselves. Just saying.
Accountable to the GM. The GM is accountable to the CEO or to me, and however you want to think about it. And so we're going to evaluate everything, look at every single person. We got to look at the medical staff. Are we doing a good enough job there? We got to look at the player development. Are we doing enough? Like,
I'm sorry to interrupt. That just reminded me of the Giannis quote when he was like, the equipment manager has to be better. I'm sorry. That made me laugh.
everything's on the table to evaluate. We have just not started it. So like when people are saying Matt's making a decision, he's going to do this, or James is going to do this, or like whatever, it's just not true. And it hasn't even been discussed, really.
Real quick, you guys, before we get to the next question, in defense of Matt Ishbia and in defense of James Jones, and look, I'm not saying Shams and Woj and all these, Chris Haynes and all these big time reporters are wrong. I'm not saying that. But I will say a lot of stuff usually does stay in-house, if you will, with the Phoenix Suns. So if our owner is kind of saying, these reports about Frank Vogel and James Jones are pretty much BS, that's not Matt Ishbia's words, those are my words. I'm just saying, it might be real, especially since Matt Ishbia just said, hey, this week, I'm going to be talking to everybody from, my CEO to our coaching staff to the players, et cetera, et cetera. I think some of these reports and rumors, as I put it, were, first off, a lot of them were just said for clicks and ratings, to get the attention. Two, a lot of them are from people who don't even really know us, like Stephen A. Smith. If you believe Stephen A. Smith about the whole Devin Booker stuff, then you need to pay attention more to Suns basketball and not listen to stupid media people like him. You know what I mean? So what I'm trying to say is, in defense of Matt Ishbia and James Jones, to an extent, a lot of the stuff that goes on with the Suns usually does stay in-house. Let's keep listening. And you know what? Call me an optimist. Call me a delusional. Call me whatever you want. And I did see some backlash about this on Twitter. I don't mind the optimism right now, but I want to keep listening. I'm not saying I've agreed with everything Matt Ishbia said here, but because he's like, we're in a great place. I'm like, are we really in a great place? But let's keep listening, y'all. We got about 20 minutes or so left of this. And then we also got to listen to James Jones as well. But James Jones's interview is a little shorter.
Matt, with the championship expectations kind of put out there, can you articulate level of disappointment not getting there? And do you think this is, how fixable do you think this is?
Oh, it's extremely fixable. I mean, let's just be real, although this isn't a cool narrative and the national media really won't want to play it out there, but ask the other 29 GMs.
Matt Ishbia must be listening to my channel because I'm always talking about how the national media is trashing on us. Let's keep listening.
26 of them would trade their whole team for our whole team and our draft picks and everything as is. The house is not on fire. We're in great position. It's not hard to fix. It's not like we're like, hey, we don't have enough talent to win a championship. We have enough talent to win a championship, right? Do we have enough continuity? Do we have time together? There's a lot of things we can look at. Do we have the right leadership in place? Do we have to add some little pieces around that? It's not like we don't have people that can.
We did not have the right leadership in place. I'm so glad he said that. That also goes back to what he said about, holding accountability. I have some thoughts on leadership and accountability, but we'll wait till later.
Score the ball, not play defense and have one champ. We have all the things. And so how fixable is it? And I mean, if I read the media, I would think we have a lot of problems, but luckily I get to spend time with, the best players in the world, in my opinion, best coaches, GMs, see all these people. And I get to spend time with our people and say, we're in really great shape. And I wouldn't trade our team or our situation for anyone else's, except for I'd like to be playing right now. But besides that, for like how going into the offseason, I feel great about it. It's not like there's a lot of other teams that have good players that have to re-sign them or they're going to lose them or that they're unrestricted free agents. Like our starting five's coming back. I feel very good about it. How do we make a couple tweaks and adjustments? You know, we won 49 games. Think about it. The first 30 games, we didn't really have Brad. I think we played 40 games with our starting five together. You know, man, if we played 50 with it, do we win 5 more games? And are we all of a sudden a 1 seed, right? Like, it's not like we're like inches away from where we need to be, right? And now, by the way, on the flip side, we're inches away. Other injuries, we could have lost some more games, right? Like, so it's
He is kind of right on that. Bradley Beal even talked about that too, where Bradley Beal pretty much said, like, yeah, if I was healthy for a few more games, we probably wouldn't be in the position we were in. But Bradley Beal also addressed the, terrible losses, which I could go all day about those ones. And Matt Ishbia kind of just did that right here, saying like, hey, we were only a few games away, realistically, from the first seed. But he also addressed the bad losses too. But let's keep going.
it's very touch and go all the time. So we have to put our team in position to be successful. And as the owner, my job is to work for the fans and deliver the best team possible. I talked about fan experience. I talked about culture. I talked about community. Like I said, we're talking about winning right now. And how do we make sure that we are in the best position to win a championship next year? That's my job. And guess what? I'm going to fail more times than I'm going to win, right? We're not going to win more championships more than half the time. So we're going to fail more than we're going to win. But it's not because we're not going to try, or not because we don't care immensely about it.
Real quick, you guys. This is inspirational Suns Geek talking to you here. In my personal opinion, the best teacher in life is failure. That's how I look at it. I've learned a lot by failing. It's just true. Just how it is. If you disagree with me on that, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry. But Matt Ishbia is right. Oh, and again, going back to Robert Sarver, I don't know if I ever heard the words like we will try, like the Phoenix Suns will try, or I will try out of his mouth. And if he did said it, I didn't hear it much from Robert Sarver. So at least our owner is saying this good stuff.
Matt, Doug Haller with The Athletic. A lot of times championship teams, not a lot of times, almost all the times, have strong leadership within the locker room. They're player-led teams. How would you assess just the accountability and the leadership on this year's team?
Great question, Doug.
So once again, you can go through and James can probably answer more specifically on in the locker room because I'm not at every game. However, what I'll say is this: we have great leaders, great people. The coach is the leader, but then at the same time, you got Devin Booker, the face of the franchise, who's a great leader and holds people accountable. And once again, I see some of this stuff, what he does in the film room, what he does in the practice floor, what he does in the locker room. Like Devin Booker is that guy, and he's the face of the franchise, and he's going to be for the next 10 plus years until he retires. And so like Devin Booker is that guy, but you got Kevin Durant, you got Brad Beal, you got players that don't play as much that actually lead. And so I think it's a team effort, but at the same time, I look at coach, star players, what do they do to hold people accountable? And at the same time, as the owner and the GM and everyone's got to play their role. And so who's the leader on the floor? I mean, it's probably best to ask the coach and the GM and the players that, because I'm not in all those things, but I look at the coach and Devin Booker as those guys, as I look at as Devin Booker's team for, before I got here and hopefully for the rest of his career.
Okay. The biggest takeaway there, and this is a shout out to all you national media people and all you clickbaiter YouTubers and all you clickbait podcasters that are like, Devin Booker's once out of Phoenix. Devin Booker's going to get traded. Devin Booker this and this. I'm going to full screen myself when I say this. And again, I'm going to put up the little bar here because I'm just reminding you guys, Devin Booker is not getting traded. The Phoenix Suns are not trading Devin Booker. Devin Booker will play for the Phoenix Suns in the 2024-25 season. Take that from Suns Geek. It's not happening. Stop the clickbait. Stop the hot takes. Stop the stupid narrative. Our owner, Matt Ishbia, just said it. Devin Booker is going to be the face of this franchise for like the next 10 years. Devin Booker's not getting traded, y'all. Just stop. Just stop. And again, I credited Gerald Bourguet from PHNX for an incredible article he did. And that was also mentioned in his article about like, cliche narratives and just things that people are wrong about with the Suns and everything. So shout out to Gerald Bourget from PHNX. Let's keep listening.
Matt, Kellen Olson, Arizona Sports. Good to see
Hey
you.
there. How are
The first round showed some of what the players had told us over the year, which is that the consistency just wasn't there. They were playing in spurts. Kevin, after game 4, spoke to an inconsistency in the style of play. From your perspective, what led to these inconsistencies and what led to the team not being able to sustain those efforts over the course of full games?
Yeah, we all watch the game. I watch every minute of every game, just like I'm sure a lot of you guys do. And obviously, there's sometimes you look at our team and say, "Who's going to stop us?" And then sometimes you look and say, "Like, how are we going to score next?" And is that give and take? But don't forget, the way I look at it is the other teams have players too and coaches too, right? And some people are like, "Oh, you got all these guys," but like they're professional athletes too, and their job is to stop our professional athletes. And so I think there's always a lot of things we got to look at. You can look at the execution on the floor. You can look at roster construction. You can look at coaching. You can look at leadership. You can look at the other team. And so there's so many pieces. So it's hard to pinpoint one thing. And once again, James is the best at it. He knows that stuff inside and out. And I defer to him on, the in-game stuff that you want to talk about, or the coach Frank Vogel on in-game stuff. But as a fan and as a viewer like you guys and what I see, we have great players, great team, and we won 49 games. Not where we want to be, not where we want to go. But like championship or bust, like this isn't bust. Like we're in a great position. We're going to be in a great position next year. And the fans, like, hopefully are really excited about what next year looks like, because it's going to be great. And hopefully it's better than this year. And that's the goal. And that's my job. And that's all of our jobs.
So like later, I'm going to try to talk about like the accountability and the leadership, but I feel like I can talk about that all off season, but I'll give kind of just some quick thoughts on accountability and leadership and all that. And again, maybe I'm alone here on this, but I kind of like the positivity and optimism. I know other media members might disagree with me on that, but I like the optimism that I'm seeing. My dog just almost knocked over my DVD shelf over here. But anyways, let's keep listening.
Matt, Cameron Cox, 12 News. Just want to give you another opportunity to clear up something else that was out there. It was reported that Frank Vogel wanted a point guard on this team and the front office did not. Is that true? And then do you think this team needs a point guard, true point guard going forward?
Yeah. So, well, first, I'm a point guard. They didn't want to sign me. I'm not good enough. And so the truth is this: like those
That's funny.
decisions, one thing I love about James Jones and our organization is James, Frank, players, everyone talks about these things. And whether you need a point guard, whether you don't need a point guard, I think, there's a lot of different discussions there. There's two smart people and both can go different ways. I don't know if that report is correct, by the way, whether Frank thought that or James thought that or vice versa. But we make a decision as a team. And I think the way we went with it, and James can go through more details on it, but most people will argue, and I think James and Frank and everyone agreed that you want the ball in those three guys' hands the much as possible. And if you have a point guard or someone else out there, the ball's in their hands less. And you have to decide, is that what you want? And if you're the other team, what do you want? You probably want the ball in someone else's hands. And so those are decisions that I'm sure James can get more detail on why he thinks about it. But once again, doesn't mean he's right. Doesn't mean Frank's right. And by the way, I think they're both on the same page, to be honest with you. But once again, I don't know all the reports.
Okay. I know he didn't finish his answer, and look, I don't agree with him, but I don't necessarily fully disagree with him. I've been so torn on the point guard thing. I think a point guard was needed in the second half of the season and in the playoffs, obviously. But he said a key phrase here. I feel like a lot of what Matt Ishbia said might get overlooked. He said, Frank Vogel and James Jones are on the same page. And I assume he's talking about the point guard thing. So let's keep listening.
A lot of people make up reports and say stuff, as I've learned, because when they say stuff about me or about other people, and I know just are factually wrong,
Clickbait. It's
hard
all
for me
clickbait.
to recognize it. So I don't believe that was correct. But either way, James will give you more thoughts on point guard stuff.
Baxter Holmes with ESPN. Matt, you talked about accountability. You're in I think you said 15 months on the job. I'm curious how you would assess the moves you've made in this time, the moves you've championed, and what you've learned and where you can improve.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things. Like the way I look at it is today, I'll be the worst owner I am for the next 40 or 50 years. Like I'm going to get better tomorrow and I'll be better next month. And like I'm constantly getting better. Continuous improvement's a big part of my belief system, along with ours at the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. With that being said, I feel really great about all the things we've done in 15 months, right? The outcome of this year's playoff series and last year's playoff series, let's take those two things out of there. Besides that, I feel like we made a lot of amazing decisions. And that's not Matt decisions. That's all of us decisions, team decisions, from new headquarters to the TV deal to new food vendor in the
Earned and
Sorry guys, my bad. I just wanted to go back to something he just said real quick about like everyone making decisions. This is interesting.
where you can improve.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things. Like the way I look at it is today, I'll be the worst owner I am for the next 40 or 50 years. Like I'm going to get better tomorrow and I'll be better next month. And like I'm constantly getting better. Continuous improvement's a big part of my belief system, along with ours at the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. With that being said, I feel really great about all the things we've done in 15 months, right? The outcome of this year's playoff series and last year's playoff series, let's take those two things out of there. Besides that, I feel like we made a lot of amazing decisions. And that's not Matt
He's right, kind of to an extent, but he's right.
decisions. That's all of us decisions, team decisions, from new headquarters to the TV deal to new food vendor in the stadium to new headquarters I just said new headquarters, but also dealing with then some of the trades. Like you look back at some of the trades that James and all of us were part of, right? Like we do those things 100 out of 100 times, right? Not 99 out of 100, 100 out of 100, and we'd still do them again. And I think the other 29 GMs would all do the exact same thing. And so we feel great about the moves we made on the court, off the court, and we're really proud of it. That's why I talk about those 4 pillars. 15 months ago, I said it at my press conference, and hopefully in 15 years and 30 years, you'll be like, he keeps talking about the same stuff. But like my job is to deliver on those 4 things. I work for the community. I work for the Phoenix fans in the state of Arizona, and I think I'm delivering what I said I would deliver. At the same time, winning is one of the 4 pieces, and we didn't win a championship. And I love, and I said this at the very beginning, I love that everyone wants us to win a championship. If we don't win a championship, people talk negatively about us. That's great. Like I'm in the mortgage business. We're the number 1 company. No one talks about the 312th biggest mortgage company. Nobody cares. They talk about the best. And I want to be in that conversation. Phoenix Suns want to be in that conversation. The Phoenix Mercury want to be in that conversation. We want you talking about us because you expect us to win. And if we don't win, it's like, man, what happened there? Something's wrong. Matt's wrong. This is wrong. James did this. Frank did this. Josh did this. Devin did that. Whatever you want to talk about. That's great. You're talking about the best. We think we're one of the best. We want to be the best franchise in sports, not just in the NBA or WNBA, and we're going to do our best to do it. And by the way, when you have high expectations, you're going to have a lot of failures, and I'm okay with that because I know how much I care and our team cares about being the best.
Again, you guys, look, last year's playoffs, besides getting embarrassed by the Nuggets, I can understand why we didn't win. Again, besides the Nuggets blowout. A lot had to be changed. Monty had to be changed. Chris Paul to be changed. Ayton, etc. We've done all that. We've talked about all that. We've whatever. And again, I keep going back to this Bradley Beal, and even Kevin Durant and Booker have mentioned this before. Like this is at least another 2-year window. I talked about this multiple times, countless times on this channel and on other channels, that this is like at least a 2-year window. And Matt Ishbia knows that. And guess what, you guys? Just telling y'all how it is, because Matt Ishbia said it earlier, that he's going to be our owner for the next 40, 50 years. And this dude wants to win. Matt Ishbia, in the very unlikely chance that you are watching, thank you for wanting to win. I'll full screen myself when I say this to you. Thank you for your optimism. Thank you that you want to get better and want to bring us a championship. And thank you for at least being relatable to us fans and knowing that you failed this season, that you and the Suns failed, but it is what it is. But thank you for at least acknowledging that, because our previous ownership did not do that at all. And as somebody left a comment here earlier saying, our former owner never even spoke to the press. And when he did, it was like a big deal. It was like a big occurrence. It's like, well, Robert Sarver's talking, because the guy was terrible and never spoke to the press. Don't know where I was going with all that, but at least Matt Ishbia is aware and he has it in his heart to win the Phoenix Suns a championship. And have the Phoenix Sun, or excuse me, have the Phoenix Mercury win a WNBA championship, which I think would be like their 5th or something like that, if I remember correctly. But anyways, thank you, Matt Ishbia, for at least being relatable. And again, I'm not saying I agree with every single thing Matt Ishbia is saying here, but at least the dude is trying. Like, you cannot fault Matt Ishbia for trying. And I've seen it in my comment sections. You guys can look at my comments on my videos. People are like, Matt Ishbia failed this and Matt Ishbia did this. I'm like, dude, at least the guy is trying, man. And look, I'm going to say this. This might be like a hot take. I know I sound like the Suns gatekeeper here, but a lot of you guys were not around 5-6 years ago, and it shows. Yeah, I'm sorry, but it's true. Like, I got to say that again just so I can like play this little graphic here. But a lot of you are not around 5 to 6 years ago, and it shows. I know I might get canceled for that. Whatever. It's true. Let's keep listening, y'all.
Hey, Matt, Barry Bloom from Sportico. How are you?
Great. How you doing?
Good. So this is my 49th year covering professional sports. And one thing I've learned and noticed over the course of the years is that when a new owner comes in from another business and starts to learn the sports business, is that they don't have the control over sports that they have in the businesses where, they become successful. And, there are so many different things in sports that you can't control. How have you dealt with that in your first 15 months? What's the thing you've learned the most? And what do you think you're going to do as you move forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. I get that question a lot. The first thing I would say that I can't control and it frustrates me is health, right? You always think about that. And obviously we were healthy in the playoffs with the exception of Grayson, but like just the whole season, like it's very frustrating. You build a team, you build a thing, and like a lot of NBA teams, a lot of people. So that's one thing that's new to me in the mortgage business. Like they're out for a sick day, but they're back the next day, right? You got your people and your team to build around. But for the most part, like the thing I learned is there's more things similar than dissimilar. And it's all about people. It's all about culture. We have an advantage here in Phoenix. I got the best fans around. Okay. And we have a great city, great location, great weather. Players want to come here. And so we build the right team and organization. What I've learned is you get the right team, organization, and people here, more great people want to join. We've added on, I know this isn't what you want to hear about, but like we've added great chief marketing officer, great PR people, great people through the whole organization. And it's not because I know I'm fun and good looking and all that stuff, but it's because, Phoenix is pretty cool and people want to come here. And so same thing with players. Like we had players take less money to come be part of the Phoenix Suns. And once again, partially to win a championship and partially because we're in Phoenix. They love the fans. They tell me when we come to the Footprint Center, the fans love it. Like there's like reasons for it. So I've learned that people always wins in all business. Now in sports, the biggest difference for me is I can't do it. Right. Like I as CEO of UWM, my mortgage, like there's a problem. Like I can go solve it. I can go call a client. I can go get involved here. The players, the coaches, they're the ones on the court. They're the ones showcasing with us, the Mercury or the Suns.
Preach.
And so that's another thing, health. And then at the same time, it's all about people. And then
Okay, maybe I'm taking what Matt Ishbia said wrong, but he pretty much just said, yeah, at the end of the day, it's the players on the court and the coaches and all that are responsible. Maybe I took that the wrong way, but that's how I read it.
end of the day, it's on the court, and you get measured by that, and you get measured daily. In the mortgage business, you'll find out how we did it at the end of the quarter. You'll be like, wow, they did great. But on March 4th, you don't know, right? But on March 4th here at 9 p.m., you know whether we won or lost, and it's like, and everyone's evaluating. But we'll do a couple more. Go ahead.
Matt, Nick King from AZ Family, kind of building off of that. You mentioned the health. When you bring in the talent that you did, is it surprising to you at all that the season was this rocky and that it ended where it did? Did you think it would be kind of easier to build the championship team?
No, well, listen, there's only 1 out of
Good
30
question.
that win, and we've had 56 years here in Phoenix and we've never won. So I don't get confused and think it's easy. With that being said, it doesn't mean I'm not going to go for it, and we're going to always go for it and try to figure out how to win. And so, the health. I'm not saying the health is why we didn't win or any of that stuff. What I look at is the way we didn't win a championship because of a lot of factors. Did I think it was going to be easy? No. But do I think we have a great chance to win it next year? Yes. And if I ever thought we didn't, I'd say that. I'd say, hey, listen, I don't think we have a good enough team to win a championship. I don't think we have one of the best teams out there right now, but we're going to compete. And there's going to be years that we don't think we're as good, and we win the first round or second round of the playoffs, right? And so I'm not.
Real quick, I know he didn't finish his answer, but I'm kind of glad he said that in a weird way. He pretty much just said there might be a time in the future where this team is not going to be good enough. And I anticipate Matt Ishbia will say, hey, this team's not good enough, maybe next year. But he also made a good point. And we've seen it in the past that there's been teams that haven't been that good that have won a first round series, maybe even a second round series. Like, a couple of years ago, the Atlanta Hawks. Didn't they go to like the East Finals? You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's been Phoenix Suns teams like that in the past that didn't look good on paper, like the 2013-14 Suns, by the way. They didn't look good on paper, and they won 48 games and barely missed the playoffs. So I kind of like that answer.
Not that concerned about, like, I didn't think it was going to be easy. And by the way, accumulating the talent, right? You can give me credit for it, but really give James Jones credit for it. Like, he had a lot of draft picks. He had a lot of options. He went out recruited. Like, he did a lot of the stuff to help get us these great players. And I'm proud to have them. And obviously I got to make them feel good. I got to talk to Grayson to make them feel good about wanting to stay. And Grayson wanted to be part of it. And like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm involved with, but at the same time, like, I feel great about where we're at. And at the same time, we want to get better. We want to win a championship next year. And that's why I'm in town right now. And that's what we're going to do for the next 3-4 months, is figuring out how do we get ready for training camp to win an NBA championship next year. And if we don't, I'll sit in front of you again, and you guys will ask me a lot of questions, and I'll figure out, and I'll be accountable to that too, just like James is, just like everyone is at our organization.
Good answer, Matt Ishbia. Good answer.
Matt, Brendan Mao, Burn City Sports. When you look around the league, how important is continuity? And did you look at this year as kind of, I know Frank said it, Brad said it, this was year one. Did you look at, like, this is a clean slate and you want to build the continuity that some of these other teams have built around the league?
Absolutely. When we made the trade for Kevin Durant, you realize that we had 4 years with him, right? Right. So, that's a big deal. Same thing with Brad Beal. We had years with him. Devin Booker lined up for years. Nurkic, years. We got Grayson Allen for years. Now we got to go figure out how to get Royce or Josh Okogie or Bull and other guys for years. And, it was never, we're going to win a championship this year, or we got to blow it up, like these crazy stuff. It's just ridiculous stuff. And so, would I have liked to won it this year? Absolutely. But I do think continuity, consistency, process works, and guys playing together. One of the things we talked about at the beginning of the year is, like, can we get our guys to play 60 to 65 games together, the starting five? I think we played less than 40, right? That continuity does affect it. Now, doesn't mean that's why we lost. It just means it's something we have to be aware of. And guess what? Going into next year, knowing that we have all starting five back, right? I feel pretty good about that. And so, will we be better next year than we were this year? Yes. Are we better this year than we were last year? Absolutely. Think about the team that lost in Denver, although it was the second round. Is our team better this year than last year? It's not even close. But we didn't win. So, NBA championship, that's what we're focused on. And that's what we're going to focus on again this year coming up.
Dana Scott from the Arizona Republic. Just wondering about last year, this month, Monty Williams was let go. And you spoke about Devin Booker basically being the cornerstone of this team for his 9 years here. He's been through 6 coaches in that 9-year span. Does that give you pause in deciding the future of Frank Vogel, being that he's only been here since last summer?
So, once again, I haven't even discussed the Frank Vogel or James Jones or Josh, anybody conversation at all. And nothing gives me pause unless I'm trying to think about, well, how do we get us better? The only thing that pauses me is, are we getting better or are we not? Whether Devin Booker, like Devin Booker, I don't know how many coaches you said he has, 6 coaches in 9 years. That's not even a conversation in my head. What's conversation in my head is, do we have the right people? Leadership, from the general manager to
not really, not really.
The coaches, to the players, to the CEO, to
we
the
need better
trainers,
leadership,
to the scouts, to, like, do we have the right people in place to win an NBA championship? And that's what I'm focused on. And when we have those people, we'll win a championship. When we don't have that, we won't win a championship. That's really the thought process. The thought process is, are we good enough? We weren't good enough this year. I don't think we're as far away as some of the people like to think. I think we're actually a lot closer. But doesn't mean we're not going to make some changes and improvements, because that'd be silly to try the exact same thing without some tweaks to the roster. And obviously we're gonna have roster changes and things changing. We already have a different assistant coach. We're gonna have to do, like, there's obviously some changes, but I don't think it's a blow it up and all these things out there that people want to talk about. I think we're in a great position. I'm proud of the Phoenix Suns. I'm excited about the Phoenix Mercury season right now. And we're gonna try to do the same thing. And we'll do the same thing with the Phoenix Mercury. How do we win an NBA or WNBA championship? That's what we're going to try to do. And guess what, guys? I hope you guys know, like, I hate losing. Okay. You show me someone that likes losing, I'll show you a loser. Okay. I ain't a
Ding, 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 ding. You show me somebody who likes losing, and I'll show you a loser. If some of you guys like losing and you're a Suns fan, then you must love those teams from like the past decade or something, because oh boy.
loser, and I don't like losing in anything I do. We try to win in everything we do. I want to win your guys' hearts over. I want you guys to be positive about the Phoenix Suns and Mercury. I want you guys to talk about all the great things that we're doing, not only me, but our whole organization. And we want to win an NBA championship, WNBA championship. But we are going to lose more years than we win. And I have to accept that. I have to talk to my kids. You know, got 3 little kids at home, and they're like, they get upset when we lose. I'm like, guys, we're going to lose 30 games this year. 30 times. You're going to be crying at night. Okay. Like, don't get upset. And then when we lost 33, they're like, it was 33, Dad, you know, but that happens, right? We're going to lose, but we're not going to not care. We're going to care every single time. And that's what I'm all in about. So I believe in us. I believe in the team. I believe in the people we have right now. I love this city, and we're going to win an NBA championship. I'm going to bring it here.
Hell yeah,
WNBA
Matt
championship, we already won
Ishbia.
3. We're going to win more.
Hell yeah.
We're going to do it together. And hopefully you guys will be there to write that positive story. And then you can
We got to go back, y'all.
this year. 30 times. You're going to be crying at night.
Wait for it.
That happens, right? We're going to
Wait
lose,
for it.
but we're not going to not care. We're going to care every single time. And that's what I'm all in about. So
Wait
I
for
believe
it.
in us. I believe in the team. I believe in the people we have right now. I love this city, and we're going to win an NBA championship. I'm going to bring it here. I
One
believe
more
in the
time.
people we have right now. I love this city, and we're going to win an NBA championship. I'm going to bring it here.
Hell
WNBA
yeah.
championship, we already won 3. We're going to win more, and we're going to do it together. And hopefully you guys will be there to write that positive story. And then you can ask me the same question, say, well, we won it this year, but so-and-so is going to leave. How are we going to win it next year? And I'll say, shit, let's figure it out. And that's what we're going to do.
Figure it out.
All right. Thanks, guys.
I love it. I love it, y'all. Real quick, I want to address a comment here, sort of a troll comment, because this guy's always leaving negative comments on my channel. No disrespect, Christian, but this is true. Suns Geek, you're turning heel, LOL. Enough is enough, and it's time for change, Suns Geek says. Okay, first off, to an extent, I said some pretty critical things when we were losing this series. But the way I will deflect this comment a little bit is, again, it goes to show that a lot of you are not around 5, 6, 7 years ago. Our owner is pretty much just addressed that this was a failure of a season and we are going to get better. And I really do believe that it is in his heart that he will make this team better. We will win a championship sometime this decade. Who knows if it'll be next year? Who knows if it'll be 2 years from now, 3 years from now? And look, if you actually listened to what he said, you know, we're still evaluating Frank Vogel and heck, maybe even James Jones. But from what I've read and seen so far, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, especially since James Jones was in this presser, which we're going to listen to him next. I really doubt James Jones is getting fired. Now, look, I will say this because I've talked about it all season long. If next season, the 2024-25 season, if the Suns do not win a championship and we still have Frank Vogel and James Jones as our GM, then yes, that's when Matt Ishbia might have to say, look, this ain't working out, guys. Sorry, you got to go. Especially James Jones. I'm kind of surprised in a way. And I want to hear James Jones's comment or comments, which we're going to do in a minute here. I want to hear it, but and like I feel like I can't get blamed too much for this little troll comment because we got our asses kicked in the playoffs, and I was reacting like a fan, and I was reacting like somebody who has done this YouTube stuff for many, many years. So I feel like I had the right to say what I was saying. It was like a reaction, kind of like we're doing here. It is a reaction. And real quick, Michael, I don't know why I'm still on Phoenix Suns Facebook. It is worse than Suns Twitter. And Suns Twitter can be pretty toxic and negative, but Suns Facebook is so worse. I need to like get off that like permanently. Okay, let's now go to James Jones. And real quick, if you want my quick thoughts on what Matt Ishbia had to say, again, I might be alone on this. I probably am alone on this. I liked a lot of what he said. And thank you, Chris. I appreciate the nice comment. I liked a lot of what Matt Ishbia said. Now, obviously, I'm not this delusional, but I know that Matt Ishbia has to go out there and execute. Just like Kevin Durant and all them talked about. You can give all these rah-rah speeches, you can communicate, you can talk, but you got to go out and execute. Matt Ishbia now has to execute. And James Jones, who we're going to listen to in a minute here. They have to go out and execute. And I hate to say this, y'all, but it looks like our starting five, yes, even Nurkic, who I'm a fan of. To an extent, I'm a fan of Nurkic. Even Nurkic is going to come back next season. Now, everybody else on the bench, I don't know. John Gamadoro from Arizona Sports said that he doesn't expect Drew Eubanks to come back. Now, just because he is saying that now, and just because James Jones probably is going to echo the same things, doesn't mean that things can't change this offseason, you guys. I feel like a lot of Suns fans, and trust me, I can be impatient too, but I feel like a lot of Suns fans are a little too impatient, and I understand 56 years without a championship. I get it. But guys, you got to remember, there is still a long off season ahead of us. We are not even at the draft yet. Things could change from today all the way to the NBA draft. And then after that, you guys, we have free agency. And then, you know, there's going to be like the Olympics and then the downtime of the NBA offseason. But even then, something could pop up that could change the NBA landscape, that could change the Phoenix Suns' future. So obviously things aren't going to happen right now. It's the playoffs. Nobody's going to be making moves. The only teams that are worrying about roster changes right now are the lottery teams. And even then they can't do anything because these teams are in the playoffs. So I'm just saying, y'all, let's be a little patient here. The season literally just ended, okay? But now let's hear from James Jones and what he has to say. This is a little bit of a shorter interview. It's only 15 minutes, and I'll kind of give my final thoughts, maybe react to a couple more things. But let's hear what James Jones has to say. Oops.
Who's first?
Here we go.
Dwayne Reagan, Arizona.
And real quick, before we get to this question, again, if you're just joining us, do me a huge favor, crush the like button. And again, I'm late to the party on this, so I'm literally reacting to this in live time. And I've only seen things on Twitter about this interview, but let's keep listening to James Jones. We just got done listening to Matt Ishbia, so here's James Jones.
Public.
I like how he said, "My man."
Coach James, GM. How would you assess Coach Vogel's coaching this year?
I thought Frank did a great job, given the circumstances. You know, we assembled a really talented team, guys from, you know, primarily three scorers. And whenever you're trying to get guys to adjust and adapt your games, there's a transition time. It's sometimes a struggle, but I thought he did a great job this year. If you look at our record, I think Matt talked about it, 49 wins compared to mid 40s last year. You know, it was a tough grind with the lack of continuity and health. But we won 49 games, and we were in the playoffs against a really good Minnesota team that just was a better team than us. So I thought he did a tremendous job. I thought the staff did a great job. I thought the players did a really good job, just not good enough to reach our goals.
To your point about guys having to adjust, there's a lot of talk obviously about the point guard position, been answering questions about it all season. Do you believe that this team needs a point guard, or do you believe that those three are capable of being the lead offensive initiators?
Oh, I think the team could benefit from having a point guard.
Whoa.
I believe the team could benefit from having backup forwards, backup centers.
So James Jones said that we need a point guard, kind of. Let's keep listening to his answer.
You know, I still always go back to your best players on the floor. That's a narrative we'll hear a lot, a point guard, point guard, point guard. point guard, point guard, point guard. And I'm saying, sure, that's great. Who do you want? Like, who do you want? Like, who's available given the way we're built?
Preach, James Jones, preach.
Who can fit with this group? Whose game seamlessly fits with this group? And when you put that player on the floor and you take the ball out of someone's hands, whose hands are you taking it out of? And who are you putting in that position? And so it's more than just a position, like a point guard or small forward. It's the actual player that you can get or you do have. And so if we had the point guard that would be the best fit for this group, we'd find them if available. So I don't think there's anything wrong.
Real quick, Howard, you kind of misheard what he said. He said, like, who's available? And clearly there wasn't a great point guard that was really available. We're going to get in that in the offseason too, by the way. Like, there's not many point guards who are realistically available, at least at the time of this comment. So I kind of agree with James Jones there. Like, it's not like a Drew Holiday was available or a Tyrese Halliburton or whoever, you know. It's not like these guys are just like, it's not like 2K is what I'm saying. Let's keep listening to James Jones. I need to quit diving into the troll comments.
I don't run away from saying we could benefit from having a point guard. I just don't think that was the answer to a lot of our problems.
James, Amanda Flugrad for Sun Sideline. A lot of the players had talked about communication, lack of communication being an issue this season, especially on defense. What did you notice there, and maybe how do you improve that?
That our guys, they like to talk around video games. It's really tough for them sometimes when you're coming into a new situation with new staff, new players, and really new systems, right? The language is different wherever you are. We all know low man help defensively. We can get into the specifics of that. We all know our pick and roll coverages, but they're different. They're things that are ingrained in you based on where you've been that you have to unlearn and you have to relearn. And so I thought our communication got better. I just thought under stress, a lot of times you saw the lack of chemistry, the lack of cohesion, and the uncertainty. And that's just something that you have to accelerate for us as a team, for our players. They just have to be better at that. But it comes with time, and it comes with a conscious effort to rectify that. And so I think if you ask every single player, they would say communication, communication, but it all starts with them individually. And until they're on the same page, you'll get what we got.
He's right. Kevin Durant kind of said that too. Until they're all on the same page, you're just going to kind of get what we had. He's right.
James Brendan Mao, Burn City Sports. When you look at you guys obviously not reaching the ultimate goal, can you pinpoint a specific thing of why you guys weren't able to do that, or what did you think the main reason was that you guys weren't able to reach that goal?
I'd say there's no one specific point, but I do have to give credit to Minnesota, a really good team that played really good basketball at the right time. They were better than us. They were more connected than us.
Preach.
And, we had some injury challenges, but I can't point to one thing particularly. I will say that we over the
we didn't have injury challenges during the playoffs. Just saying.
Course of the year, we started to form an identity. It just wasn't solidified enough for us to withstand the pressure and the situation that we faced in the first round against Minnesota.
James, Cal Nelson, Arizona Sports. Good to see you. When you mentioned the chemistry and the continuity, guys getting on the same page, what do you think are the contributing factors to that? Is it because this group is together for the first year? Is it the personalities in the locker room not meshing? What do you think led to that disconnect?
I think all of those things. I think all of those human conditions you're talking about, right? Familiarity. Once you're familiar with someone, you can develop a deep level of trust where you can be honest and candid in the toughest moments. I think when you're familiar with someone, you can start to get on the same page and recognize the patterns and the behaviors that put you on the same page. And so I don't think there's just one factor. I do know over time, it's easier the more time you have. But we look at this thing from year to year. And our goal, my responsibility, coach's responsibility, the player's responsibility is to accelerate all of those things. Because that's the only way you get ahead of it when you're coming together for the first time like we were.
Okay. At least he acknowledged that there wasn't much accountability. There wasn't much chemistry. I'm going to put that in quotations. And there wasn't much connection there. But that's what's kind of frustrating. That's why I reacted to his injury comment when he was like, we had some injuries and stuff, which he's not wrong, but like the last half of the season, we were pretty much healthy. Throughout the playoffs, we were pretty much healthy. I'm like, okay, how much time do you like really need, you know? And that's kind of why I'm gonna like go back and talk about accountability and leadership later. It's like, it's he kind of even said it too. Like there was some locker room issues, leadership, as some of you call it, divas and all that. And I don't know. Let's keep listening.
Greg Esposito, PHNX Sports. James, you've been around a lot of talented teams with top-heavy rosters like this one. Can you kind of talk about those first years that you were around those guys and how it kind of paralleled to this first year with this group?
Different NBA, but still same. I would still say same formula. The playoffs is about your three best players playing well, your three best players being an advantage for you, and the team that can consistently do that usually wins. I think if you look at where we were, we had moments where two of our three guys were on the same page. We've had moments where one of them was on like playing really, really well. And our other team members, our other guys, our supporting cast, like I say, our alternative starters, I would call them, they lifted the team up. We just didn't have enough of those moments when we were all on the same page, all clicking at the right time. But this is a league about talent. There are very few instances in the NBA where you find a team that had one elite player, maybe two elite players, and was able to consistently win. I'm not just saying for one season. I mean consistently, because we want to win for multiple years. And so I look at our team and I just say, if we can get our guys across the board, our 1 through 15, all on the same page, all understanding the sacrifices they have to make. And I think sacrifice really starts with our
Real quick, you guys, can I go back at least like 10 seconds here? Like more than 10 seconds. Listen to this. Listen to this, you guys.
Consistently, because we want to win for multiple years. And so I look at our team and I just say, if we can get our guys across the board, our 1 through 15, all on the same page, all understanding the sacrifices they have to make. And I think sacrifice really starts with our main guys, the guys we talk a lot about.
Ding, 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 ding. He is 100% right. Players 1 through 15 need to sacrifice, communicate in order for us to win a championship, and obviously lead better and hold accountability better. But anyways,
Devin, Kevin, and Brad. But you look at the sacrifices that the rest of the team has made. When we all get on the same page, I think we'll have what we want, which is a core group of players that are capable of competing and winning championships, competing at a high level, and doing it for multiple years.
Hey, James, Mark McClellan, 3TV CBS 5. There was some talk, or the national narrative that's been out there about potentially some chemistry issues. So can you speak to those? Did you sense any of those with the team that ended up with the sweep in the first round?
The sweep in the first round, chemistry issues. Yeah, you have chemistry issues when you lose. I mean, I think if you go and look at every NBA game, every team that loses a game has chemistry issues. That's the easy answer, because it's a tough sport. So when you're all in sync and the chemistry is great and you have the best talent, you typically dominate. We've seen that very few times in the history of the NBA where teams had that type of chemistry consistently with the talent and they dominated. And so for us, chemistry is built over time. And I actually think chemistry is built through fire. So if you ask our guys today what their chemistry is like after going through the pain that we went through this past week, I guarantee you when they come into training camp next year, they're a tighter, more cohesive group, and they've been through the fire. And when you're through the fire, you trust. And when you trust, you're unbeatable.
Yeah, I get what he's saying there, but I kind of feel like that's only correct for like our starting five and for anybody else who comes back. Like let's say we bring back Royce O'Neal. So that chemistry and that fire will be there for those guys, but not for the players who are going to be new. So I get what he's saying. I do, but I'm just like,
James, Robbie Baker with Fox 10. As you guys go into the offseason, how much do you value continuity in regards to maybe making some changes and shaking things up?
Well,
potentially?
continuity is key. I can guarantee you, I can ask every player, because make no mistake, continuity for us, the fans, the front office, that's great. Continuity really matters for the players. And so if you were to ask any of our players, hey, I know who I'm going into battle with next year. And I know all summer I can reach out to that guy. I can work with that guy. I can continue to build with those guys. They'll all tell you they'll take that. And it is even more so when you're talking about having elite talent around you. So our chemistry will be great going through the summer, and it will serve us well as we continue to talk about how we translate this continuity and chemistry into the championship.
James, when a team maybe underperforms or struggles a little bit, a lot of things happen. Do you feel like that the players, that the locker room, that there was a buy-in with what Frank was asking them to do? And when things started to go astray a little bit, do you feel like they lost faith or trust in Frank?
No, I don't believe that's the case. I believe when things get tough and you're uncertain, you start to guess. And I thought that as we got near the end of the season, I thought you saw some indecision. Our guys thinking too much and not playing. And so as we continue to spend time together, we continue to build together, I think you'll see it's not about buy-in, it's about belief in one another, belief that the things that we're working on will translate in those moments. And like I said, we ran out of time.
Okay. That's where it gets a little tricky for me, because he's talking about players not buying in, but believing in the system and believing in Frank Vogel and yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But as he said, we ran out of time. So does that mean the players didn't, quote, believe till late in the season? That's I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I actually saw that on Twitter before I went live, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that's kind of like a low-key a red flag. You're saying the players don't have to buy in, they have to believe. And we ran out of time, which I agree with, we did. So does that mean the players finally started believing late in the season when we went 7-3 in that gauntlet 10-game stretch? And did the players believe in game 1 versus the Wolves? That's a little bit of a red flag for me. I'm sorry.
Baxter Holmes of the ESPN. James, how do you assess kind of where you guys are at in terms of flexibility for roster building?
By the way, I'm going to go back a few seconds. The guy asking the question right here, Baxter Holmes of ESPN, is the guy that pretty much but was the writer of the story that took down Robert Sarver. So hell yeah, Baxter Holmes.
Like I said, we ran out of time.
Baxter Holmes of the ESPN. James, how do you assess kind of where you guys are at in terms of flexibility for roster building, the assets you have? That this is kind of a big talking point given some of the moves, that were made to bring in some of these stars.
We're starting from a place of having a very good core of players, and we have the assets necessary to continue to use those assets to acquire players, right? And I said, going into this offseason, we have everything that we need to be able to add the players or the positions that will make us better. I'm not thinking about 2031. Like Matt said it before, we're not thinking about the 7th grader in 2031. We're talking about elite players who want to win, saying, how can we win today? How can we win tomorrow? How can we win the next 12 months? Devin's not thinking about 2031. Kevin's not thinking about 2031. Brad, Grayson, Royce, Eric Gordon. None of our guys are thinking about 2031. They're thinking about, we fell short of our goal this season. How do we run it back? How do we get better? How do we improve? How do we use all of our resources, all of our assets, all of our energy, our time? How do we invest those the right way so that we don't have this result again next summer? Thinking about.
Let me go back 10 seconds, y'all, because look, for a content creator like me, or a media person, whatever you want to call me, podcaster, for somebody like me, obviously we think of the future. Fans think of the future. But James Jones is kind of right here, you guys. He is right, at least with this. If Devin Booker was in this interview right now, or Bradley Beal, or Kevin Durant, or Grayson Allen, he is right about this, that they're not thinking about the future. they're only thinking about like this upcoming season. They're not thinking 3 years down the line, 2 years down the line, or future draft picks. He is right. Matt Ishbia was right about that. James Jones is right about that. So let's replay at least the last 10 seconds of what he said.
2031. Kevin's not thinking about 2031. Brad, Grayson, Royce, Eric Gordon. None of our guys are thinking about 2031. They're thinking about, we fell short of our goal this season. How do we run it back? How do we get better? How do we improve? How do we use all of our resources, all of our assets, all of our energy, our time? How do we invest those the right way so that we don't have this result again next summer?
Dana from Arizona Republic.
2 more questions,
just wondering
guys.
about how you feel in today's NBA, in which coaches are quickly fired despite team success. In example of like Adrian Griffin when the Bucks were 30-13, or even Frank in this case where you guys won 49 games, and the speculation out there about his future with this team.
That's sports media in general. Everything's a story. Everyone's impatient. Everyone wants to make decisions and talk about things before they actually evaluate the decisions that are being made. I just think for us, it comes with the territory. And we all know what we sign up for when you come here. And we know what happens when we set high expectations. When you set high expectations and you fall short, people question everything. And for us, we'll question everything. But at the end of the day, we'll have the right answers. And those right answers will help us achieve those high expectations, which is to win a championship. And so we'll continue to deal with all the things that come with falling short. But I tell you, we're built for it.
Hey, James, Barry Bloom. So just jumping off of Baxter's question a little bit, but more technical. I mean, in baseball, you don't have a salary cap. There are other restraints, but you can pretty much do whatever you want to do if you want to add players or subtract players. In the NBA, and I'm no capologist, I'm wondering under your structure right now, where you have money spent, you're over the second cap limit, the way I understand it. How much room do you have to grow and spend within the money that you have available and is already spent?
Well, this isn't baseball. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
That's funny.
But where there's a will, there's a way. I believe that. Like Phoenix is a special place. We'll have all of we'll go through every channel. We'll explore every scenario to add and build our team. It's important to remember that we're starting with 6, 7, 8 really good core players. And when you're talking about building on the margins, I think we have more than enough to do that effectively.
James, when you look at the way Kevin was utilized, and much has been made of where he got his shots from, and he did get a few shots from the corner, but he got it from all over the lot. I guess my question is, do you feel like his talents were maximized in that sense of getting the shots that he's most comfortable with?
I'll tell you, that's a constant focus for us, is to continue to figure out how to maximize Kevin Durant. No one's done it yet. I believe we'll be the first team to do it because if we can maximize him, we can maximize our entire roster. We're a better team. But that's not an issue. I think Kevin had a phenomenal season this year offensively. I think there's a stretch. He had some of the best stretches of his career this year. So it wasn't an offensive thing. It wasn't just a utilization or a usage thing. It was just the totality of figuring out when and where and how to do it together. We just could not get on the same page. We ran out of time. But I think if you ask...
That's the second time he said that. That's not good, y'all.
Kevin, he'll tell you. Kevin enjoys playing the game. We enjoy him playing the game. And when he's playing at the highest level, he makes us a really, really good team, and we're damn near unbeatable. And you saw that at times this year. But like every great player, what we may view as being like awesome, Kevin thinks isn't good enough because he wants to be great. That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
I like that.
And so the moment he becomes satisfied with the way he's playing, I think that'll be the moment he'll tell you that it's probably time to think about something differently.
I think that was the last question. Yep. Okay. Give me a second here, you guys. Let me take out my headphones. Okay, so my thoughts, and obviously, guys, during the off season stuff, I'll be doing a lot more live shows. I'll be doing more videos and stuff. You already know the drill. If it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. So look, I might be alone on this. But for the most part, I didn't agree with everything Matt Ishbia and James Jones said, but I liked it for the most part. It was optimistic. Even though I was really critical and still am to an extent critical of the way we went out. And I'm not saying I could do it better than James Jones or Matt Ishbia. And look, you guys can get all political, technical, critical in the comments section if you want. But let's be real, you guys couldn't do it any better than they can. That's why they get paid millions of dollars to do this. And look, I'll say what I've said before, and I've said in the past, and I'll probably say in the future, that if we fail next season, then sure, then maybe then it is time for James Jones to go. And I like James Jones. I think he failed this season, but you know. And again, I like how our owner is really kind of relating to us and understands that we failed. But I like how he is like, hey, I'm going to be your guys' owner for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And I'm going to try to win a championship every single year. And we might fail along the way, but we're going to get better when we fail. I like hearing that stuff. So, like I said, at the end of game 3 and during the end of game 4, I don't have all the answers right now. And let's be real, Matt Ishbia and James Jones, they don't have all the answers right now. You guys don't have all the answers right now, despite how some of you guys like to troll and think you know everything. You don't know everything right now. And guess what, you guys? Friendly reminder. This is not NBA 2K. You can't just press a button and change your franchise. It doesn't work like that. These things are going to take time. It is true. Like I said, we just barely started the off season. And if you listened to what they said, they are going to evaluate. I don't know if Frank Vogel will be our coach in a week. I don't know if Frank Vogel will be our coach in a month. Who knows? They're going to evaluate. But from what I'm gathering, it does seem like James Jones is going to be around at least one more season. And from what I'm gathering, for at least right now, Frank Vogel is going to be still here. And I think our core 5 is going to be here. At least I'm saying that under the belief right now. I don't know. Because again, draft day could roll around. Maybe some player becomes available. Maybe one of our, like, I'll pick on Nurkic here. Maybe Nurkic gets traded. I don't know. So I don't know, you guys. I don't have all the answers. And I'm looking at the live chat, and so many of you guys are just so critical and so negative, and I don't know, you guys. But again, I like what I heard for the most part. Do I think that do I still believe that this was the most disappointing season in Suns history? Absolutely. But is it forever over? No, it's not, you guys. That's how I look at it. We still have a whole off season. And guess what, you guys? Even after this off season, that's why they have a trade deadline. So if things don't work, you can make a certain trade to improve your roster before the playoffs start. That's why you have the buyout market. I'm thinking way in advance, but I'm just saying. So please just be patient, Suns fans. I know you're disappointed. Trust me, I am too. I was heartbroken after getting swept. And even though I said I was going to take a few days off from basketball and these videos and stuff, that was prior to me knowing about the end of the season interviews. I still am. I'm going to kind of take some time away from basketball. Like I'm barely watching the playoffs as is because I just don't really have much of an interest. And unless there's actual Suns news, then I'll make a video about it. But it's like I'm going to kind of just take some time off and play some video games and watch movies and stuff and live my life because the Suns broke my heart this season. They did. But me being a biased, delusional, optimistic Suns fan, I like what I heard here. And it is not over yet, you know? But I will just say this to kind of end the show. Look, I understand Devin Booker and Kevin Durant have the Olympics coming up, and I understand they need to rest and recharge their bodies. They're human beings. I get it. But I really do hope that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and heck, maybe even Bradley Beal, even though Bradley Beal isn't on the Olympic team, I hope before the Olympics, after the Olympics, when they're not on vacation, when they're not resting, those three need to lock themselves in a gym. And heck, whoever else is coming back, they need to be locked in the gym. And I'll dive deeper into this in a future live show, but I really hope next season that there is more accountability and better leadership. And I'm not just talking on the court. I'm talking off of the court, in the locker rooms. You know, even when they're just talking to the media, that there's better leadership, that there's better accountability. And, you know, in a way that goes with everybody, but I'm specifically here just talking about players and the coaches. And I hope next season, and I feel like I kind of said this after we got embarrassed by the Nuggets in the playoffs. I hope next season that the Suns do not have that mindset of we're better than the lowly Spurs, or we're better than, like, you know, the Pacers without Tyrese Halliburton, or we're better than the Rockets. You know what I mean? I hope they don't have that mindset, because we saw what happened when they do have that mindset. They get embarrassed, or they just have an ugly, ugly loss. And look, ugly losses are going to happen. Bad teams are going to beat us. That happens every season. Don't say it doesn't, because you can go back in NBA history and look at bad teams that have beaten great teams. But Bradley Beal said it a couple times this season that, like, we underestimated them. We thought we were the better team. And that was when the Victor Wemby-less Spurs beat us, you know, for example. That was just one example. I hope they don't have that mindset. I want them to have the mindset of, you know, winners and winning, but, like, don't underestimate your opponent. Don't underestimate these bad teams out there, these lottery teams. So that's pretty much it, y'all. And again, I'm just a fan at the end of the day, you guys. I'm just reacting to what I'm seeing. I'm reacting to what our owner, who's not going anywhere, is saying. I'm reacting to what our general manager, who for at least right now isn't going anywhere, is saying. And I'm reacting to what I saw during the playoffs, which was not a lot. And the Suns deserve all the criticism for how they performed in the playoffs. But the offseason is going to be here soon. The draft is coming up. Ooh, and by the way, you guys, don't get attached to this draft pick, because we saw what happened last year with Tamani Kamara. And not just that, the way James Jones was talking, and Matt Ishbia, about, like, we're not worried about a 2031 pick and, you know, the seventh grader and playing basketball. We're not worried about that. I would be surprised if we have a rookie on this team next year. And look, I know some of you guys think that Tamani Kamara could have like helped us and all that, and maybe in certain stretches he could have, but that guy wasn't saving our season. And I like Tamani Kamara. He played good for the Blazers, but I'm like, that dude's not going to save our season, y'all. So again, I don't have all the answers right now. I love Matt Ishbia's optimism, but now it's time to execute. Matt Ishbia and James Jones, it is now time to execute. Build this roster and get Kevin Durant, as James Jones was talking about, to, thrive in our offensive system. Get players in here that will hold the team accountable, but also have great leadership. And if Frank Vogel does get fired, bring in the right coaching staff that will also do those things in terms of leadership and accountability, and getting our best players, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, to just thrive in the offense. Thank you for all the love tonight for the most part. There was a lot of trolls in here. There was a lot of haters in here, but I appreciate everybody who watched. There's some more things I want to talk about, but maybe I'll do that in a video or in another live show. But like I said, I might take a couple of days off, you guys. I think I deserve it, especially after we went out in the playoffs and all that. So, but yeah, you guys, I love you. You guys are all awesome. Please, I know it's difficult, but please try to stay positive, y'all. Please just have faith in this team. I know that some of you guys are barely hanging on to a thread, but just please have faith in this team and just be patient, you guys. Be patient. These things are going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight. And again, thank you to everybody who watched. Thank you for everyone who's going to watch later. Appreciate everybody who is engaging, except for the trolls and the haters, but that's just part of it. And I love you guys. You guys are all amazing. You guys already know the drill. Be nice to people, y'all. Show kindness, show love, and win or lose, Phoenix Suns for life. If it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Peace out. God bless. And as always, go Suns.
What's up, son?